Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Talkin Real Estate. I am your co-host, Chad Levine, the superstar lender, and I have with me a friend, a partner, and someone who I admire greatly in this business, Mr. Mark Gatta. What's up, buddy?
Thanks for the kind words, bro. I like the intro. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. So for people that know us and know how we do things, we like to bring a lot of energy. And we're very committed to our content. I think, in the grand scheme of things, I would call you and I at the forefront of at least utilizing social media in our marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we do, right? That's really where Opus's growth has come from, your business as well. And that's kind of who we are. We put everything out there on social, and it's really helped us. It's helped us grow our business. It's helped us bring on new agents from a brokerage standpoint. It's helped, I mean, in every aspect, my personal sales, from when I started just selling part-time, everything was hyper-focused on just putting that content out on social media. And it was hard at first, man. It was not something that I was used to doing. People know me as being, in the public's eye all the time and just constantly, out at different events and putting that out there on social media. And, despite what people may think, that's not who I am as a person. I'm a very private person. I wasn't the guy, and I used to joke around in the past about people. Oh, look, this person's taking pictures of every little thing they do. They have no lives. And, when you start realizing how this can affect the growth of any business for that matter, you really dedicate time in doing it. It's very calculated in what we do. It comes across as being natural, but the reality is, at this point in my career, in my life, it is natural, but in the beginning, it was very intentional. I had to plan accordingly. So I'm excited. Funny,
no, it's really funny you said, and that's a great segue. We'll talk about that. But really interesting, before we go away from that, before I got into real estate.
Does my head look big? I look okay, right?
No.
Okay, I felt like it looks a little big, but anyway, maybe it's just the picture.
I think it looks good. Nice. You look nice and metallic today.
It's shiny today. It's actually shiny. I have a spotlight on my head, which doesn't help, but either way.
But before we dive a little more into the show and then dig into today's episode, before I got into real estate, ask me how many social media accounts I had.
How many social media accounts that you had?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think with you, I mean, you're always out there, so you probably had 2 or 3.
Dude, I had 0.
Stop it.
I didn't even have a Facebook account.
Really?
Absolutely.
And how many do you have now? About 75?
I mean, I've got so many ad handles and variations of it, but it's become so ingrained with my daily routine.
Yeah.
Exactly. And specifically because of what you just said, we both grasp the importance of it. And it was such a rewiring, but we'll talk about it. But I'm so happy you brought it up is what I'm trying to say.
Listen, we met each other via social media. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
You were harassing the crap out of me until I started working. and I joke around about it. But the reality is, if it wasn't for you doing that, in our business, we have lenders in our face 24/7. And typically we don't engage. But you were relentless. And I'm like, if this dude is that relentless and that intentional about putting himself out there in front of me and finding different avenues to do it, I'm like, he's got to be committed to his trade. And sure enough, you are, man. You're the best at what you do. So.
No, thank you, dude. That's 100%. So let's talk about the show and what we hope to accomplish. Yeah. So I want to give credit to your business partner. Real quick, for those that people don't know, give everyone a context about Opus Elite, how you guys started, the whole concept of your culture, what you guys do. Give us a background of that.
Sure. And I'll try to keep it to like a few minutes because I tell this story often and kind of get a little long-winded. But Volkan, my business partner, and I started Opus. We launched about 7 years ago now. We started working together prior at a smaller brokerage. And at the time, I was transitioning out of my former career. I used to own a chain of tanning salons. I transitioned out of that and decided to get into real estate just to fuel my investments and have access to the MLS. And, within the first few years, I saw that it can be pretty lucrative. And I'm, selling, 15, 20, 30 houses a year. And I'm like, wow, this is, making more money doing this than I am, selling tanning packages. So maybe I'll make a go of this. So I sold off my last tanning salon and I had basically, I'd gone into real estate full time and my numbers grew. They went through the roof. And I was, at that point, averaging 50, 60, 70 transactions a year, no admin, just myself and doing really, really well. But what happened when I closed my last salon, I sold off the bricks and closed my last salon. I'm working from my house. This is right around the COVID years, just leading into the COVID years. But I have 4 little ones at the time, and I'm working from home. And my wife's like, "Listen, I see that you're home and you're working from home, but I have my routines here." And I'm like, "Dude, you do your thing, I'll do mine." So first day, I'm working at the house, and my wife's doing her thing. And I said, "Hey, Maria, what are you up to?" And she's like, "Just making breakfast for the kids and so on." I'm like, "Okay, good." Went back to work a little bit, writing some offers, getting stuff done. I'm like, "This is great. I'm usually out of the house all day. I'm sitting here. My wife's over here. Maria, what are you doing now? What's going to be for lunch?" Literally looked at me, and we're not even 4 hours from me being home. Looked at me, and she's like, "No, this isn't going to work." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "This, you, me, home. We've been married for a long time. If you want this to last more than a week, you better get a damn office." So I had to get an office. So at the time, I've reached out to Volkan, and I said, "Volkan," because he was, we are polar opposites. He's amazing at what he does, and he may say the same thing about me or not, but we do balance each other very well. So I reached out to him upon someone's recommendation, and I knew him obviously more from our previous brokerage, but we really, Volkan's a man of few words, so we didn't really have a great connection. We didn't really know each other that well. And I said, "Volkan, I'm thinking about getting an office and maybe start like a little team or something like that, and give it a go with this real estate thing." And he's like, "Well, sure, why not?" He said, let's find something. And we found a small office across the street from where our Newtown office is now. We found a spot about 1,000 square feet. And I remember it was like $1,500 a month. And Volkan and I said, we'll split the bills, and whatever it is, we'll grow. And we opened up this office, which was ultimately a satellite office for the existing company that we were with. And that was great. So the challenge with the brokerage that we were with, and I don't want to call it a challenge, they're still dear friends of ours, but I guess what was inconsistent with what we were trying to do was, they were winding down. They not that they're approaching retirement, but I don't know. It's a mom and pop brokerage. I don't know that they were looking to do what Volkan and I were looking to do, and the biggest challenge was that their commission structure was set for everyone. So whether you were selling 50 houses a year and I was selling 1, we were making the same thing. Well, that's all well and good, but now that we're assuming the overhead of an office and the insurance and the Wi-Fi and the electric and the rent and all this other stuff, the copiers and stuff, and now agents that were, that lived near our office wanted to come work out of our office because they were obviously, the other place, the main office was not they had almost like a virtual type setup. So they people would come to their office to work, but they didn't really have a structured office. Our place was set up as a fully functioning office. So now we have agents that are coming to our office that want to work, and our bills start going up and up and up because now we have a bunch of agents that really want to work out of our office. We approached them and said, "Listen, we're happy with assuming all of the cost of the office, but we have to start making something off of them. Can we work out some kind of a structure where we can make something?" The long and the short answer was probably not. And it wasn't for any reason other than they ran their business the way they wanted to, and they weren't looking for partners. And I can appreciate that. Volkan is my partner. I'm not looking for partners at this point in our career. So we ended up parting as friends, and that's when we launched Opus. So speeding it up, we launched Opus about 7 years ago or so. The world shuts down, and we thought it was going to be the demise of Opus very quickly, and it wasn't. It ended up being really what allowed us to grow in a short period of time. So when a lot of the big box companies closed up shop, and because we were required to, we were not essential, if you remember at the time, and they continued to charge their agents monthly fees and all these other fees. There were 2 different types of agents. There were the agents that were really struggling. The agent that was doing 5-8 deals a year that now everything is shut down, and they're maybe doing half of that, 3 or 4 deals a year, but they're still having to pay for all the overhead associated with being in, and so on, being with that particular company. That allowed a lot of those lower producing agents, the newer agents, the agents that weren't doing a ton of volume, to come to our brokerage because yes, we conform to whatever the regulations were, but we're a small brokerage. It's just myself, Volkan, and maybe a half a dozen agents at the time. So if we could go into the office that day because government said we could, we would put masks on or took masks off and went into the office. If we could have an event and we made it, pandemic friendly with masks and social distancing and so on, we did that. We put a mask on Santa Claus, let them take pictures with the kids. We did whatever we had to, but we could adapt and kind of work and offer these types of things for our agents and for the public. So these are going through the COVID years. We started bringing in a good bit of agents, 15, 20 agents at that point came on board because they saw that there was life within our brokerage, that we were involved in the community, that we were giving back to the community, that we were open for business when we could. Whereas their office, the doors were locked and they really didn't do much of anything. And they certainly didn't do much within the community. And again, this is not one particular office. This is just in general. The larger companies can't necessarily pivot as fast as we could because they are governed by franchise regulations. It's just us and our agents. And we sat down and said, hey, do you want to try to do this? Let's make it work. And we did it. So, and that was true with, and it still is true with all of the events that we do. So then things open back up. The agents, and we had about 20 or so agents. That's once things open back up and COVID is no longer a thing or a serious thing, I should say. And, that really accounted for a huge, exponential growth for the brokerage. And the reason is now the top producing agents, the heavy hitters, right? The Christina Swains, the George Berdamises, the Ken Prouses, all of these agents, they now go back, and I'm using those names as an example,
sure.
But any of our top producing agents, they go back into an office and, you're in an office of 5,000 square feet and there's nobody in there. It's a ghost town. And you go into your own office, you open up the door and you have your mahogany desk with your name placard on there. And you're like, do I need all this? Now, some agents did really bad and they had a hard time during the COVID years. A lot of these top producing agents were knocking it out of the park. They were writing offers on rooftops of cars. They were going to settlements and parking lots, doing whatever they could to make ends meet. And they had the best 2 years of their life. So now when they come back into the office and they're like, all these bells and whistles I'm paying for, I'm paying a monthly fee, I'm paying desk fees, I'm paying royalty fees, I'm paying all of this stuff. I just had the best 2 years of my life. And I was working from rooftops of cars. I was working outside of Starbucks the day they were open. I was working from my house. That allowed us to bring in a lot of those top producing agents. So fast forward now, 7 years later, where are we? And I feel like we've talked about this, and every time we talk about it, we're very blessed, and we have grown, and now we have grown since. So we have multiple offices, right? So we have our Newtown office. We have our Newtown commercial brokerage. We have our Bristol Borough office on Mill Street. We have an office in Philadelphia in Fishtown on Front Street. We have our Robbinsville office. We have another office in South Jersey on Haddon Avenue. In Haddon Township, and we have our Pocono group. So we have, and we have about 200 agents. So we're very blessed. We've grown exponentially. We have a lot of things in the works that you're going to hear very soon. And I attribute all of it to a couple things. Well, first of all, our amazing agents, but our amazing agents came from our social media and community involvement and what we put out there. You can do a ton of things within the community unless you're putting it out there so people can see it and be receptive to it. Then it's really not, it's not a thing. So everything we do, we still are intentional about putting it out on social media, but we don't do it in a bragging way. We do it because we firmly believe in the law of attraction. And if people see what we're doing, we end up bringing in like-minded people. To this day, and I say it all the time, I have yet to pick up the phone to call somebody. And anybody that hears different, if you think I'm a liar, call me out on it. But I have yet to pick up the phone to call not one of our agents or any other agent from any other brokerage to say, hey, I think you'd be a great fit for Opus. Why don't you come by? Meantime, I have agents sending me text messages daily saying, so-and-so is trying to recruit me again. And we kind of laugh about it. And that's their strategy. And that's great. Do we recruit? No. Do we grow? Yes. How do we do it? By attraction, by doing things that people feel that they can relate to. And because they can relate to it, they want to be a part of something that, that you can relate to. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with, right? I have 200 people that I love spending all of my time with. And to call myself the average of them is an amazing compliment because they're just awesome. Our agents are great. So that's where we are in 10 minutes. Not too bad.
No. So, and I'm glad you did all that because that's the crux of today's episode. So the purpose of this show is really for us through anecdotal experience of what the lives of agents are like every single day. And we're going to bring on agents that specialize in certain areas for future episodes. But I want people to really understand the reality of real estate, what it's really like to be an agent in today's market, in today's world, in 2025. And that's the goal of what we're trying to do. And I think that's what Volkan wants us to do, because I want to give him credit. This is really something that Volkan said, hey guys, I really want to start focusing on content that helps people helps agents specifically by listening to the conversations of people that are doing different facets and different aspects of the industry. So I'm excited about
the true professionals in the industry. We're going to be
absolutely
more intentional, but we are intentional about who we're bringing in. We have a great lineup of people that are going to come in, professionals in certain trades, certain industries. I mean, within the industry, but within certain aspects of the business. I'm so excited. I can't wait to share the knowledge. Do I know certain things? Yeah, I know what I know, but I don't know everything. That's for sure. Same thing with you. We're gonna dig into lending. We're gonna dig into everything real estate related on a high level. We're gonna keep it fun. We're gonna keep it light, but we're gonna really dig into it. And the whole idea is just to educate and it's just so important. So important to Volkan, and it's equally as important to us because we want to make him happy, obviously, because Volkan is a man of few words, and at the same time, he came up with the idea, and when we talked about it, I started to realize, we do our other podcast, and it's great. That is strictly entertainment. That's what it's about. So everything else that we do is, education based. What we do behind the scenes in the brokerage, but we don't necessarily put that out to the public. So I think this is a great opportunity for them to see the education that we're putting out within our brokerage. We're going to share it with everyone, and we're going to invite professionals from all walks of life, from all brokerages. This is not an Opus thing. This is not a superstar lender thing. We may bring other lenders in. We can bring other brokers in, whatever we need to. We're going to find the people that are the best at what they do. And we have a lineup of this, and we're going to have a great time doing it, man.
And the one thing that I'm going to touch on, and you hit it a little bit, but I think we're going to devote an episode to it. One of the reasons I believe, and this is a little not, I'm going to pat myself on the back, but there's other people in it. You guys choose your partnerships extremely well. Yeah. And you're very intentional by who you work with, because the most important thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, they've got to represent your brand well, and they've got to be complementary to your business and to your agents. Yeah. And that if you were to ask me, there's so many reasons for your growth, but you're very good at who you choose to be in business with.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah.
And I think because some of our agents have seen in the past that we don't just take on anyone. We take on brand new agents. Maybe the volume's not there, but they're like-minded. And we've turned away multi-million-dollar producing agents that maybe weren't the best fit for us for one reason or another. They may be great agents, and most agents are. If you're doing that kind of volume, you're a great agent. It doesn't mean that you're consistent with our mindset and the way we like to grow our business. So we really try to make it a point to keep with that consistency. We have an awesome group of agents that help keep us honest and consistent with this. Because if it was just Mark and Volkan, now you have kind of a dictatorship. We have a group of agents that oversee what we do as well to make sure that we are, advocating on behalf of the agents, that we're offering the best technology, that we're doing enough events in all of our offices, that the agents that we bring in are consistent with who we want to call ourselves and who we want to relate to. So we do have a group policing us to make sure that we're doing the right thing as well. And you're a part of that. You're always there too, So,
and that was part of the reason I was saying, there are relationships between, and I'm going to specifically break it down to lenders and agencies and brokerages. It is very, very different. It is truly a partnership. It feels like family. I feel like I'm contributing much more than just financing. And because of that, I'm much more committed.
Sure.
I'm much more committed to the growth of everything because I want it all to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a bigger deal than just cutting a check for an MSA.
Absolutely. And the reality is we take it to a different level. And this is true with all of our agents. Listen, I talked to you. You talked to my wife for 45 minutes today about my son's medication from his surgery. Who's going to do that? Friends do that. Family does that. I wouldn't call some random person to do that. So things like that, I never lose sight of. I never forget about that. Just as when agents call me and they want some, they have a question about schooling, or they have a question about where they're going to send their kids to college, because I have a bunch that are leading up to that, or they have questions about, real estate investing, and they'll talk to some of our agents that are investing. We do that. We're open door to each other. We're here to support each other. And that's the thing that I always kind of lay that groundwork for. I want them to know that we're here to support each other, but you have to do the same for others. You can't just expect to get the knowledge from the professionals and not give back. So it is a give and take. And this is going to be a give and take type of a show where we're giving out the knowledge, but we're also going to be receiving and educating ourselves. Because like I said before, I might be good at certain things. You're good at certain things. We're going to bring professionals in that are going to teach us. So selfishly, I want to learn what they're going to teach, and everybody else can reap the benefits as well.
Yep. So now I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire stuff because I know we're gonna try and be mindful.
No crazy stuff. No,
nothing crazy. It's all going to be professional based. It really is. And I'm going to take it up the ladder because I want to walk through the evolution of agent to team leader to then brokerage owner, right? And I think that that's really important because it's something that a lot of agents contemplate, right? They always think of what's next. But I really want to get in your mind and understand it. So as an agent, solo agent, starting out, right? What's your advice? What are you telling people to focus in on and figure out how they can start to put food on the table and understand how to be a real estate agent?
So Matty Curcio asked me the same question on a panel discussion. And the first thing that I said was, and I mentioned this earlier in the show, that you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most of your time with. And I see a direct correlation between the agents that come into the office, the new agents, the seasoned agents that come into the office on a daily basis, that surround themselves with those producing agents, and success. The agents think they're going to do it on their own. It's very, very difficult. I'm not saying you can't do it. And I got to be honest with you, I kind of did it when I started. For the first few years, I didn't have a ton of access to people because I was still running my tanning salon business. But can you do it? Absolutely. Does that learning curve diminish significantly when you surround yourself with people that have already done it? Damn right. That's the reason we have franchises, right? Yeah. That's the reason these franchises are successful. You don't see too many KW offices or Remax offices closed. Why? Because they have the systems in place. They know. So does that mean find a team? What does that mean? So I mean,
literally, what does that mean?
There's different ways to go. I mean, some people like the team concept. Some people like to work on their own. So for an agent that doesn't necessarily want to surround themselves by a team, you need to align yourself with a brokerage that has a support system that is internal that you can be a part of. Okay. So regardless of the brokerage, you need to make sure that there's either a mentorship program. There has to be support somewhere. To go to one of these virtual companies with no support, very, very hard to succeed. So as an individual agent, you want to make sure that you're in a brokerage. I'm a firm believer in having a brick and mortar location. I feel like you need to get into the office. You can't really work from home. You need to get into the office. You need to get your clothes on. You need to feel and dress and be that part and live that part, and surround yourself with people that are already doing that. So if you can surround yourself with a group of people that are there and you're in a brokerage that can give you the tools, the education, the mentorship, that's the first part of, actually succeeding as an individual agent. Once you've now accomplished that and you're selling houses and you have your systems and you have your core group that you can bounce things off of, and you're no longer in need of a mentor and you want to grow beyond that, in our brokerage, at least, we offer the ability to get involved in that mentorship program. So now you're no longer a mentee, you are a mentor, and you're sharing your information with someone and you're compensated for it. And I know a lot of brokerages do that as well. So, and that to me is huge because teaching is the easiest way to learn, right? So if you're teaching someone something, you really can master whatever that is because you're repetitively teaching individuals. So
at what point does it make sense? At what point, and I want your honest answer. At what point does it make sense for someone to say, I'm doing really well on my own? When does a team make sense?
So there's so many factors. For some people, it never makes sense. I have agents that are selling $30 million a year in real estate, and they don't want to answer to anybody. They don't want to educate anyone. They just want to sell and be a part of an amazing group of agents and have the support of an amazing group of agents, but they don't want to lead. And what's the key for them to scale is the key transaction. What's the key for a solo agent to keep going? Is it transaction coordinator? What is it? Transaction coordinator, and that can be done virtually through our buddy Andy Kowalski. There's a plug for him. He'll be on one of our shows. It can be through another, a regular transaction coordinator that's there to help you out. It can be scaled in the form of hiring a buyer's agent that you can just have somebody show houses. Listen, at any point in time, when I was selling 60, 70 houses a year, if I was running 10 buyers at once, my head was going to spin and I couldn't do it. And you see what happened to my hair. If I had 30 listings at once, I could do it with my eyes closed because I have my system. I made sure I could do it. So you're going to have to do one or two things.
You don't think that they're limited? The solo agent's not limited?
You're never limited. You're never limited. You just have to adjust your focus, and you have to make sure that you can delegate it appropriately. So where you're limited is there's only so much time in a day. There's only so many houses that you can show. But if you're not out there, and you don't want to be out there 24/7 showing houses, then you need to have somebody or a team of people that maybe aren't on your team, but you're compensating them in some way to allow them to show houses for you. And they're just showing agents. And there's plenty of people that would be willing to do that for you in any brokerage. So that's one option, because now you're taking that equation out of it. But really, to leverage yourself and to focus on listings tends to be significantly easier. It's a lot easier to manage. You're Mike McCann's, and Mike's a great guy. He's ultra responsive. He probably has 75, 80 listings right now. I don't think he's running buyers anymore. Is he limited? He's not limited. Now, he has an amazing team behind him and companies at this point behind him. But you can certainly grow to whatever extent. At some point, you would need an admin. At some point, you would need, some kind of a transaction coordinator or a good CRM to keep you organized. You need those tools. Your brokerage needs to provide those tools. But, aside from that, the sky can be the limit. You just have to make sure you're directing your focus to the things that are basically occupying less of your time. If you can sit there and just work on listing appointments daily and accruing listings, and you have somebody else that's running those buyers for you, and you're helping them with the transactions, and you're being a part of that, well, you don't necessarily have to be a team. You just have people that are kind of working with you or for you, however you want to structure it. And you can be a kick-ass.
And with does the right brokerage help with that, in a sense of, hey, I'm a solo agent. I've got a ton of these buying leads. I don't have time to show them. I don't mind making a little referral. You guys help them place it with other agents.
Absolutely. And listen, we do that all the time. We do that. And listen, there's companies out there that's not their business model. There's
that's what I mean.
Unless you're part of a team, they don't want you to come on. You either need to be a successful agent or part of a team to come in. So it doesn't make one brokerage style right or wrong. It's what's right for you. So I'm not saying that Opus is the best thing in the world, that you have to go with us and we'll help you grow. Right. There's a million brokerages out there, but you need to find a brokerage that will, cater to what's important to you. So for an agent that wants to come in, that wants to grow, we have systems in place that can help them grow. And we can certainly educate them and advise them as to ways to grow their business. I mean, we do that constantly with our mentorship program. We do that with our goal setting and the accountability that we have. But again, it doesn't mean that it's right for you one way or another. Some people like to go in with a team type structure. It depends on the type of.
But why go team? Tell me why. Like, that's what I need to understand the evolution. Why go team?
So depending on the company that you're with, and depending on the size of the company that you're with, some people tend to work better in groups. Majority of people tend to work better in groups, right? There's a reason that things are structured that way. And if you have a team, we have lots of teams at the brokerage, and you have a direct report that can help you, and you have someone that you can call 24/7 that's available to you, and you have someone that's providing leads to you that could help you grow that way, and possibly helping you with marketing dollars and whatever the team structures are. Every team has a different structure, but it's more of an intimate setting. We if you're one of 500 at a brokerage, because some brokerages are of that size, and you have a team of 5, and you can market yourselves together with those 5 people, and you can grow. Power in numbers, right? So you're not going to get lost in the mix. The reason a lot of people say that they've left some of the larger brokerages is because they feel like they're just a number. So a way to avoid that, if you want to stay with that big brokerage, is to probably align yourself with a team. There tends to be costs associated with it. I can't speak on that. I know what our team structures are, and they're all different, but there are benefits to being in a team. There's marketing. When you're marketing together, it's just like anything else. In building, when you're building things, if you're doing them in multiples, it tends to be cheaper. If you're marketing with a group of people, your dollars go further because now you have more people contributing to the pot. So from a marketing standpoint, from an educational standpoint, from an intimacy standpoint, there's definite benefits to being in a team. For me, it wasn't for me. I had no interest in being a part of a team, but that's just who I am. I'm a team player, but I tend to it's just my ADHD type A personality. I'd like to lead. I don't know that I would be a good, team member. I left the corporate world because I didn't like to play by the rules. I like to do my own thing. So,
right. And so I could see, so I could see it from both perspectives. And I'm curious, this has been a burning question for me.
Oh no.
Team names, right?
Quattro. Okay. No, sorry.
No.
Say, what do I shave with?
Names. Yeah. Team names are always interesting to me because from a license perspective, Are you limited to do you
Absolutely.
have to name it? They're a licensed agent. Is that how it works?
First, last name, and team.
So that's
the Levine team, the Mark Gatta real estate team.
So the disadvantage, I mean, if I'm being real with you, the disadvantage is if you foster a good agent, is there some level of them being stuck from a branding perspective? I'm just curious.
You're limited. Listen, the reality is, look, over here, if you take a look here, that's one of our LLCs, but the Gatta Group used to be my team name. Technically, from a compliance standpoint, it should have been the Mark Gatta Real Estate Team. It should have not been the Gatta Group. So you do have to work under someone, a team lead's name and their umbrella, and they have to be marketing with you on all of your stuff. So whatever you're advertising, whether it's business cards, whether it's a billboard, it has to be stated that you work under that team name. And we're going to bring some great team members in here too. They can talk about how they've grown their team. I'm excited to hear from them. But that's how it has to be marketed. So can you still brand yourself within that team? Absolutely. But there's still a compliance aspect of it. Okay. It's just like there was with real estate, right? So, Mark Gatta can't put Mark Gatta out there without Opus Elite Real Estate if we're talking about real estate related things. It's just the way it is. If you have a good team leader, they can certainly help you brand yourself in conjunction with the team. And I would hope that they would, if they want to see you succeed and grow together, as would a brokerage. If they want to help you grow as an individual agent, well, it's not about the agent. Nobody cares about, no offense, nobody cares about Opus Elite Real Estate. They care about Chad Levine, the realtor that's selling. So we want to make sure that Chad shines, not Opus. And we're a big proponent of that. And as are a lot of brokers.
Yeah. And then I want to end this with people who think they can get into the brokerage model, which is like a major step up. So you go individual.
Don't do it.
I'm being honest because I've seen the way you guys have been growing, right? And I think I already know the answer because I can tell you. So what on a daily basis, now you are where you are. You've grown, bootstrapped. What's that?
4 glasses of wine. I'm sorry. I was going to say, dude, but like insane, the 4 glasses of wine. But
what's the biggest, like, let's talk about this mentally. For number one, can you even effectively sell real estate anymore?
I do.
Honestly.
I do.
Okay. How the hell do you do that?
Time management. I have calendars for calendars, and fortunately, I have a business partner that works with me on a regular basis. So between myself and Volkan, we're able to do it. Now, that's because it's myself and Volkan as business owners, and we work on our transactions together. If it was just me alone, I couldn't personally do it. Maybe there are some superstars out there, no pun intended, that could do it. I couldn't do it. So because Volkan and I are sharing the responsibilities of ownership, and also have been able to scale and grow the brokerage where a lot of the things are delegated, automated, and so on, that has allowed us some free time to continue to sell. So yes, we can still do it, and we can still do it effectively. We still sell a fair amount of houses a year.
So what's your, from an opening a brokerage and succeeding, what do you attribute, and you've said a lot of it, but from a mental perspective of the two of you doing this, what do you believe makes you guys so successful? Honestly.
I mean, the thing that I spend majority of my day with, and I feel that is critical in growth and retention, especially, is you have to listen to your agents, right? So at the end of the day, without amazing agents, we don't have an amazing brokerage, right? So Volkan and I, we might be great salespeople, we might be great leaders, but unless you're doing that with a group of agents that are like-minded and can help scale and grow this business with you, you're not going to do it alone. So my point is, we brought in a couple new agents earlier today, and the one thing I told them was, listen, are we competitive with our commission splits? Absolutely. Are we a no-fee brokerage? Absolutely. Can you go somewhere else and make more money? Absolutely. And I say that, and I encourage people to shop and talk to other people because retention is so important to us. But
I was going to say that to you. That's got to be the craziest part, right?
Yeah. I mean, what has set us apart? Now, I don't want to say set us apart because that makes it sound like other people aren't doing it, but we really make it intentional, and it's probably the top of our priority is to listen to our agents and to acknowledge their concerns if they have any, to reward their victories, to allow them to shine and support them in any way possible. But it all comes down to, you have to create value for these agents. If not, they're going somewhere else. So we try to do whatever we can to make it a true experience to be with us. Anything from a wellness coach to full-time marketing people that come free of charge. All of these things that we do it because we want to reward our agents and acknowledge that, they're here and we're flattered that they chose to work with us because there's a billion other companies that are doing the same thing, right? So we have to provide those. And that's really where I feel that we spend most of our time, aside from just the day-to-day answering calls, broker questions, and so on. We spend the most of our time making sure that our agents feel appreciated because we do appreciate them. And we spend a ton of our time really listening to them, whether it's in the form of anonymous surveys, whether it's in the form of our agent advocacy program that puts other people at the forefront that agents can go to and talk to in case they have issues and they don't want to come to Mark or Volcon. And it really limits all that drama and everything else that is so important that we stay away from. So that is the key. It's really, listening to your agents and knowing that they've really run this company. We're here to make sure that it goes in the right direction if we have to adjust things accordingly. But if we don't have a good group of agents that are taking the reins and making sure that everything that we've tried to implement is really coming to fruition, then we have nothing. Then we have just Mark and Volcon, and that's not who we are. So, I was talking to one of our, actually, I might have been talking to you earlier today. You're kind of, a client of ours, right? So I make sure that we, you provide a service and we reciprocate and give you referrals and so on. But I work for our agents. I work for our agents. They don't work for me. I work for every one of them every day. I see text messages going off on my phone right now, and I'm like, I got to end this because I need to call them back. Because at the end of the day, if they're not happy, we have no brokerage. So we need to make sure that they're happy, which in turn allows them to put out a good product, which in turn allows us to grow as a brokerage. And now we all grow together and keep this family dynamic going, which I love so much.
I really think that's the culmination of the episode from my perspective, which is really to get to the evolution and to understand why you went from successful agent to then having a team to now growing a brokerage. And we'll talk more in future episodes about what you and Volcon hope to accomplish with it. But I think the one thing you do so well is you have a very crystal clear focus. You understand exactly what you have to do day in and day out.
Sure.
Because some people will take over franchises. And again, that's not to knock it. But why we saw the evolution of the mom and pop and these independent brokerages coming to life is to really that they're more focused and in tune with the need of the agent.
Amen, brother. You're absolutely right.
The need of the agent. And that to me is what is every aspect of what you do. And that's, I'm guessing, what keeps you up at night.
all night. And you know what? And listen, this is not, we're not knocking the big box company.
No.
You heard me mention that they're very successful for a reason. There's a reason franchises have been around, and they may be around a hell of a lot longer than Opus. I don't know.
Yep.
But we're also going to be bringing some of those leaders in because I want to hear what they have to offer and what knowledge that they can share with us because, there's no right or wrong. It's what works for you or works for me. Clearly, there's things that are working for these big franchises because they're a hell of a lot larger than we are. And there's things that are working for us because we've been growing exponentially. So I love to get that feedback from everyone so we can really all learn together. And at the same time, while we're learning, it's going to allow the agents and our viewers to listen in, educate themselves, and maybe figure out what's a better fit for them or not as well. They're going to hear it all.
I love that. I love that.
Much. We're going to be spitting a ton of knowledge via ourselves, outsiders, and just anyone in the industry. So I'm really looking forward to it, brother. I think this is going to be awesome. Where can they find us anyway? Where can they find us? Is this we're just talking?
I was going to say you pretty much did. We nailed the episode. So that welcome to the pilot episode of Talkin Real Estate, and that's TALKIN. We went with the slang term Talkin Real Estate. Talkin Real Estate.
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
And we'll start off by saying you can find us on YouTube at Talkin Real Estate. We will have many more places for you to find our content in the future. And we're really looking forward to this. Mark, as always, it's a pleasure. And let's rock and roll, man. Let's bring the people what they want.
Damn right. Love you, man. We'll talk soon.
Peace. And it's end stream. It says end stream. Hold on here. It must be uploading. Hold on one second.
Can I close out?